It's now time to bring in LSI 1. My process around this is again to slow the process down and give Sarah some time to create her own profile. So I will ask her some questions around to what extent did she identify with my overview of the circumplex? Does she see herself as more task or people, satisfaction or security? I also ask her to create her own circumplex. So very deliberately we start colouring in. I start from green and work my way around to blue. From a personal preference perspective, I feel it's a good place to finish off on blue. And then from there, I ask her some open questions for her to be able to start to draw some conclusions about the feedback. We're going to do some colouring in. There's some method in our madness here. So, we're going to start with this profile on the left here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shout out some numbers and get you to do some colouring in. Okay, so we're going to start with self-description. I'm going to start with approval and work our way around. Don't worry about it, we'll pick it up later. Now, approval. So what we've got here is you see the different numbers in here. So when I shout out the number, find where it is, draw a line and colour into the centre.
So, okay, you said this was the 50th here.
Yes.
So what? The numbers look
Yeah, they move around, don't they? So how it is I mean, perhaps the best way I think of describing this is, what we do is we take the score that you've got, we call it the raw score, which I'm going to give you in a second, and then to give you some context around it, what we do is we compare that score to other people who've done the survey. So what we're doing is we're comparing your results to mid to senior level leaders across Australia, New Zealand, North America, Europe, and Asia. And so what we want to do is say, how do you stack up? So as an example, let's say you sit a maths test and a chemistry test, and you get 80 out of 100 for that test, for both tests. Is that a good result?
For me, I think it would be.
Yeah. Now, let's say one of your son comes over and says, I got 80 out of 100 for maths test.
If every other child got 99.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to take that score and contrast it to others. So what we have done is, by doing that, we have some thresholds here, which is why it moves around a little bit.
Oh, so it's you've done the research to
Absolutely.
see which...
Over many, many thousands of people, in fact millions of people over a number of years. You're being compared to a smaller group of that, our norm group. So let's find out how you stack up against some of this stuff. Okay, so approval, your score was 20. So find where 20 is in approval, draw a line and colour into the centre.
Like?
Yep.
I'll cut it.
That's it. Go for it. I'm sure there's a bit of therapy in colouring in, as it were, yes?
Sure, it seems pretty big.
Well, let's see what happens in relation to the rest of the style, shall we? Okay, now we're moving down in the profile here. 4 o'clock conventional, the score was 16.
Okay.
For dependent, 22.
This is how I scored myself.
This is self-perception, yes.
Okay.
And avoidance was 1.
Oh, that's good.
Great. Okay, we're on to the red pen now. So we're going to do 7 o'clock. So for oppositional, the score was 12.
Oh, okay. That's there, I think.
Yeah, lovely.
Doing a very good job of this, all right.
Beautiful. Power was 5.
Oh, okay.
Competitive was 16. And perfectionistic was 11.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Lovely.
Oh, really?
Now, let's have a look at the blue. So, achievement, 20. Self-actualizing, 14.
Oh, God, I don't think I can find 14. About there, I guess.
Yeah, it's about there. For humanistic encouraging, 21. And for affiliative, also 21. Now, I'm interested in your initial reaction. How do you feel seeing that?
Well, okay, so I'm just looking at the norm. Oh, I'm so very surprised by perfectionistic. I'm happy with avoidance, but I can't say I'm thrilled with anything else.
Okay.
I'm not even close to 50 for those good ones. I don't know about competitive. I think I'm a little bit confused. We're not confused, I don't know. Clearly I don't know. It's a lot of green and a lot of red.
So there's a fair degree of green and red there, yeah, there is. How does that make you feel? So you coloured it in, I heard lots of, and, that's not very good, and so on. I heard a lot of that language. What's your...
Oh, it's not very good. I mean, if you're saying that for the red and green ones, that under 50% is sort of reasonable and healthy and might even be helpful. There's a lot over that, and clearly under 50% of constructive styles is not great either, and there's a long way under 50%. I mean, that self-actualising is barely there.
Yeah. If you think back to the introduction that we had, if you were to summarise that introduction,
Yeah.
and how would you summarise where you're at right now? This stage of life for you, right here and now.
I think I'm just managing, or I don't know, from what you said, coping, I guess. And I think that looks like I'm just trying to cope.
It's certainly, it's bottom heavy, so it's very much about coping.
Well, you said it's about feeling insecure.
Yeah. So, try as much as you can, try and suspend the judgment.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try and get an understanding of what's there. Because then, I'd like to spend a little bit of time, we could, just understanding what is there.
I think what I can't quite get my head around is how I can, they also sort of mirror each other.
Yeah.
I can't understand how I can be both. Like, as to the, like, how can someone seek approval and yet want to beat them?
Great question. Now, I've got some lovely materials here that I want to take some time with you. Now, all this is yours. We've got these LSI cards. Now, the cards here are very good. They help with some interpretation. So these are all yours to take away. So let's spend a little bit of time looking at that. So why don't we look at now what we've got for each of the 12 styles, we have a card that talks about what the style's like when it's high, when it's medium, and when it's low. So let's pull out some of these cards here.
That's high.
It is, so you can see how we do it up here. See how the different the shading changes as we go. Now, so what you've done is you've given yourself some high scores here on some of these styles. So let me quickly flick through. Here we are. Have a read of the approval. So this is what high approval sounds like, perhaps.
Oh. I'm not sure about being indecisive, but I think the others could be right.
See, the thing around these cards is, the idea behind them is that if I was to eavesdrop in on your thinking, and I was to listen in to you about what's happening around you, there should be some similarities there to what I would...
I think I would start every second sentence with if it's okay with you, with my team, so that, which I think I've interpreted it as just being polite.
Okay. So, what does this level, this approval, what does it give you? So it gives you that sense of being polite.
Well, making sure people that I'm not stomping on anyone, or that they think their opinion matters, or so you say here, make an independent decision and stand by it. There haven't been many times I've been able to do that without someone coming back to me to complain that it's not what they were expecting.
So what I'd suggest is hang on, let's hold off on how we might address some of this stuff. Try and get an understanding of what it's saying first of all, and see if we can unravel it a little bit.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this, so if I was a fly on the wall following you around, watching what you do, how would I see you do this? So you said, you know, I start a lot of sentences with if it's okay.
Oh, well, I do. It becomes anxious when I don't get the approval I desire.
Yeah.
You know, I feel, well, I suppose this is at home as well, you know, if I'm busting a gut, trying to work something out for someone and going above and beyond to get them the leave that they want or get them, you know, the training that they need or whatever, when I've got a lot of other things to juggle, I get really, oh, you're saying anxious, but I feel like I get quite angry when I don't get any acknowledgement for that.
Okay.
It's just like, well, you know, it's just like, did you get my email saying that you can do that? Yeah. It's just like, well, you could have come and
You put so
thank
much-
me for working
you
through
put
that.
so
Like, I
much
get
effort into
nothing
it, yes.
back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it says anxious here. It doesn't feel like I get stroppy would be
Stroppy.
the word.
Yes.
Because I just think it's rude.
Well, isn't it interesting? And so what you've talked a little bit about is there's a driver over here and sort of, you know, do things to, you know, to be nice to people, to please people and so on. When you don't get what you know, the recognition of all this effort that you put in, comes over here perhaps.
Oh.
So we'll come to this stuff in a second. One thing I was interested in, you mentioned a few times at the beginning, around what it's like stepping up from the team to managing them. How has that been for you?
Oh, well, I mean, I have to admit I've done it myself. So I think I was expecting it. But I think there was, from a group, 8 or 9 of my friends, that...
So you would class them as friends, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'd go out
We have
to
lunch
work and
together.
stuff and things like
Yeah.
that.
You
Right.
know, Facebook, whatever. You know, I mean, I'd consider them. I mean, not great friends, but certainly friends. And so I think there was a feeling that, oh, excellent. You know, Sarah's here. Tops. That means I can pretty much do what I want when I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'd say they're good workers, but there was this idea of, you know, excellent holidays.
And didn't you say that your boss said he wanted you to come in and
So
get the
I
whip
had,
out?
Number one had that, and number two, he wanted me to address everything that had happened prior, and they had to be part of that. And so, you know, I asked them politely, you know, if it's okay with you, would it be, you know, and suddenly I'm getting attitude.
Right. You've changed.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
what do they expect me to do?
Right. How's the relationship like with them today?
Well, I'm trying, you know,
Do
today.
you still have as many
So I bring in a lot of cakes.
Bring in a lot of cakes. How's that working for you?
I
Because
don't-
you have lots of time to make them, don't you?
No. I get my. No, yes, I'm.
Do you outsource it?
No, I can't afford that either. No, I buy a lot of packet cake mix, and I'm bringing in a lot of cakes.
When are you making these cakes?
Oh, don't ask me when I'm making the cakes. It's some ridiculous.
So how's
hour.
that working? That strategy of buying them cakes and things
I
like
don't
that?
know. They expect me to bring in cakes now. I love your cake. So I don't know. So, but I mean, I just try and keep people happy, and it pisses me off.
Right.
Sometimes when, I mean, most of the time it's okay, but it's just like, cut me some slack.
Great. Let's bring in this one now. That's good. This is great. Competitive. You asked, how can you be competitive and be approval oriented?
Yeah.
Have a read of this one now. This is the high competitive card.
I think I compare myself with others. I seek recognition and praise through striving to be seen as better than everyone. I'm not, but I think I do seek recognition and praise, and I do fear failure because it's just so much work. Oh. I don't know if I view life as a contest to be won, but I like to win because it's just easier.
You see, here's the interesting thing around
Yeah.
this. This is it's kind of, there's an oscillating position here
Yeah.
between these two, okay? And there is this approval is a strong need to be liked and accepted. This is about proving yourself. This is about showing. So this is a case of, you know, I'm here, God damn it, listen to me. You know,
That's exactly what it feels like. It's like, listen to me and just be nice and do what I'm asking you to do, because I'm trying to be nice.
Right. So this is the baking the cakes at 2 o'clock in the morning or whenever it is. This is the why the hell are they not more appreciative of me, and so on.
Just giving them a piece of cake.
That's right. And so there's a lot of tension in these two. So they pull out together and create a fair degree of tension. Then we bring in these two styles.
Oh, God.
This oppositional, let's have a look up here. We'll go back to our one-pager on the circumflex here. Oppositional, opposes new ideas, looks for mistakes, resists challenges, critical of others. Do you know what I've found? This is, at least because we're now dealing with LSI 1, which is self-description. Who's this criticism about?
Me.
It's you speaking to yourself. So what we have is someone who's, you know, this want to be nice, want to, you know, prove myself, then this really self-critical language, even when you were colouring in.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, that's not good, that's too high, I'm not doing a very good job. There was a lot of very self-critical language. Now, I don't know whether that comes out, we'll see when we come across to LSI 2. So there's a lot of quite critical, challenging language here. How does that, because I mean, I fundamentally believe that we all do things for a reason.
I am in a bit above my head.
Yeah.
I don't think that was staying. It feels like that. I mean, I don't. That's interested to see. I'm almost dreading to see. But I mean,
We'll get to that.
It feels like I'm just hanging in there some days. So, and I get very angry with myself that maybe I can't cope with it a bit better than I am, or that I should be able to cope with it better. I do have a manager who demands that I report to him on a very regular basis.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll make a decision and just stick with it and do it. It doesn't work for me with my team and doesn't work for me with my manager, because if I make a decision on behalf of the team, it's like, you're trying to be inclusive, and then if I make a decision without him, it's like, well, you need to pass this stuff by me. So I don't. I feel a bit stuck.
Okay.
I get that though.
And I think that's a great. I think it's a great summary of what that says. It says stuck, because I mean, it doesn't. At some level, it doesn't make sense, does it? You know, to be passive and aggressive in the same thing together. But the two are almost cancelling each other out, which holds you kind of stuck.
Well, they are cancelling each other.
That's right. And so that's it's a difficult place to be, I would suggest, for you. And you know, this is, you know, there's lots of air being blown out and stuff like that.
It just feels,
it's
you know,
tough.
like, I mean, you're saying these are the people things.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm not so surprised about approval, but I would have thought I had it.
Yeah.
Trying to encourage people all over the place.
Now, so we've talked about what is there. Do you know what's really interesting about these profiles is often what's not there. You see, my sense is that what's your motivation here? What do you actually, so when you get out of bed in the morning, you go to work, on your way to work and so on, what do you intend for the day?
Well, I'd like to say that I intend to sort of, you know, satisfy all my team's needs and keep everyone aligned. But, you know, like, as I said, when I walk in, I just know, and then chances are someone's called me on the way to work. Well, that she's got the flu and her child's sick and he's broken his foot and, which happened only a few weeks ago. It's just like, all right. So it does feel like that, exactly. It's like, all right.
Okay.
That's what give me a minute and I'll get onto it.
Okay.
But then
You never
I don't
get
know
that
where the
minute.
day goes after that, to be honest. It just is managing it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's not there. And so what's happened here is that you've given yourself some really low scores for blue.
Yeah.
Now remember, this data comes from you. So this is a snapshot in time of how you see the world and how you see yourself. I'd like you to have a look at achievement low. It's really critical language, isn't it?
Feel your effort makes little or no difference. It certainly feels like that some days. I feel like I'm going in circles. And it's this lack of strong sense of purpose or direction. I'd certainly have a direction to get through what's in front of me, but as far as having like a big, this is where I want to be in 2 months for me or for my team, forget it.
Yeah. See, I think, if I may, this is, down here is about survive.
Yeah, it's...
This stuff here is about thriving. And it's really hard to think about thriving when you're fighting for your survival.
Just swimming.
Yeah. Against some big waves by the sounds of it.
It feels it. And part of me is really critical. It's going, it's just you, or why does everyone else seem to be able to handle it and you can't? I don't know.
That's the inner critic nagging away, telling you what's wrong, what you're not, and all the rest like that.
Yeah.
How does that? So that person on your shoulder gets quite a lot of attention, huh?
Yeah, well, a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it
I don't
helpful?
know. No, I don't think it's remotely helpful. I have no idea how to turn it off.
Right.
And sometimes I just feel, like every time I think, Sarah, meditate or do something, start something.
Who's
do
got time for
something.
that?
Well, I haven't got any time, but it's also like, everyone else is. And then the kids will say, Bla's parents they're going trekking through Cambodia for a month. It's just like, oh my God. I mean, how have they even thought about making that possible? I don't.
And so this turns on again. And so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to, it would be useful to see if we could work at maybe turning that down a little bit. I think of these colours as being like sounds in a record, like a DJ turning the volume up or down on different records.
Yeah.
And so what I see here is the red and green is loud.
Yeah.
And the volume's down really low here.
Yeah.
So we got to, let's try and understand what it would feel like to have the volume up high in the blue. Have a read of this. This is the Achievement High card.
Takes risks. Find your work highly rewarding.
So here's a question I've got for you. Can you think about a time in your life when this would have been applicable for you, at any stage in your life? Not necessarily around work, just a stage in your life, something you did or do where there was confidence. I talk about people when they felt I was bulletproof, and I could do anything and I could...
It's funny because I was talking to my daughter about this not quite recently. Create your own standards of excellence and focus on achieving them. At school, high school, and for a number of years after, loved painting.
Did you?
And I have a stack of stuff in the garage, and I have, every year people give me little gifts of a bit of this and a bit of that. I haven't touched a canvas in, I can't think when, 10 years.
Tell me about, what sort of painting did you do?
well, I was at an interesting school, so there's quite a lot of life drawing actually. But I like portraiture, and I try and get to the Archibald every year. I mean, I really love it. It's a huge interest to me. But even if it's not that, I just love getting in front of it. I have a sort of fairly quirky style. I'm very confident in that, and I miss it.
So, are there any experiences that stand out for you? Do you remember a particular piece of art that you created?
To art teachers being very generous to me, but I mean, but even then, that sounds like I'm seeking approval. It's more that I was just happy with what I was doing, and I just remember at high school a number of the students in my class, not copying, but very, very much taking their influence from a school of art or something and doing great work. But I think I was always very confident that just did what felt right to me, and was commended. Did very well in that.
Can you remember anything particular that stands out, a piece of art that you did that really stands out for you?
Oh yeah, there was my sort of HSC major work was exhibited. That was actually of my uncle.
That's a portrait, yeah? Tell me, what was it like, the whole, setting it up and then painting?
Oh, it was fantastic. He was, he's gone now. He was an absolute character, and I think I captured him from a photo. I asked his approval. I didn't get him to sit because he would have distracted me too much. Everyone in the family, that portrait's still up at my parents' house, and I like seeing it, and people love it, and I would really, I have no idea how or when, but I love that space of just being there, So,
Can you try and put some? I mean, it's beautiful. Tell me, can you put some words into, if I had met you then?
Yeah.
And we were sitting having a chat, how would you be? How were you then? What would the energy be like you were putting off? How would you see the world?
When I was involved in that? Right, I think I gave myself more time. I had more time. And I gave, I could lose myself for hours on end in my parents' garage. And they, very good that they gave me that time and they supported me. And it wasn't so much that I was, this is my career. So I don't think I feel like, I gave away my chance. None of that. But it's just something I'm drawn to and I love, and I'd love to visit more galleries, and I'd like to do more or learn more, or life just kind of got in the way of it. It feels like it's on hold. I'm waiting for retirement. Feels like that.
So I wrote some things down. It was really interesting to watch you. I wish I'd have a mirror that I could have shown you. To begin with, you're quite closed in, talking about there was about the role and how much is on you. When you started talking about this, your whole body changed. You opened up, and the three things I wrote down. You talked about time. You had time, and you talked about being able to lose yourself, and you talked about loving it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard those words. I've heard the other side of those. You haven't said you hated it, but you've said the ironic thing is you have, perhaps what this says is, where are you in this?
I don't know where I am.
You are here.
Yeah.
Doing everything for everybody else.
Yeah.
Running as hard and as fast as you can. And maybe you're doing a great job for everybody else.
Don't know I am.
But not you. That's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I don't know what would have to happen. Like, my husband or children would have to take a step back, and
Or a step up.
Oh, maybe.
How do you feel? I mean, you can see you're upset. What's the emotion? Put some words to it if you can.
So you're saying that you know, even just thinking about it made me happy. And again, it's just like, well, why haven't I been able to? Why have I let that go? And I feel like that's just yet another thing I can't keep up with.
So, beautiful until you went into here. That's another thing, the criticism, yeah? So, the thing that I really would love to spend a little bit of time with you on is this. Self-actualizing. Have a read of this. The high self-actualizing. Do you know anyone like that? Have you met people like that? What are they like?
Fun. They're healthy. And I did have a friend like this actually in our circle of friends. Another word that was thrown around was selfish. But I don't know if it's selfish. Just making time for yourself. I think.
Lovely. Now, you've seen me write some things down. You probably know where I'm going next, don't you? So, fun, healthy, and making time for self. They sound like some pretty nice goals. Yeah?
Yeah.
So if I had a sort of magic wand or a sort of magic pill, and I could give you that pill and you could walk out of here, and you saw yourself as more fun, healthier, and have more time for yourself, what would be different?
Oh, I think just everything would be more possible, and I think I'd stop running in circles. I think I waste a lot of time. I don't have the time, and I feel like I waste a lot of it repeating myself. Sort of more traction. So, you know, if I ask someone to do something, for them to actually do it, and feel that they can run with it without coming to me all the time, would be good.
So, so where do we go from here? Would you like more fun, more health, and more time for yourself?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you know what the interesting thing is? We will go over here shortly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and you were not dissimilar, are very interested in how this looks.
Well, I'm not expecting it to be great.
However, the interesting thing here is that all you can really do is influence what other people think.
Okay.
Here's my silly story around the difference between these two. And it works better for women than it does for men for obvious reasons. Well, will become obvious reason. LSI 1 and 2 is a system, like we're a system. And so LSI 1, LSI 2, the feedback from others, is kind of like the hair and makeup, yeah? Right. And so you can go out and have a big night and all that kind of stuff and not sleep and all the rest of it, whack on the hair and makeup and be okay. But there's a limit, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a limit. If you're not looking after the health of the system, eventually no amount of hair and makeup is going to make any difference, really, is it?
That's for sure.
Okay. So I'm going with my gut, regardless of what the next one looks like, and we'll spend time there as well in a moment. My suggestion, and like any, please take it or leave it, is the biggest opportunity for you right now is to work on not what is here, is on building some of this blue.
Okay.
Is on building a greater sense of fun.
Do you find if people actively work on this, that this goes?
I'm full of analogies, right? But
yeah.
imagine, so one thing we all understand is health, fitness and weight loss, right? So I decide I'm going to lose a few kilos, right? Do I focus on all the things I can't drink beer, can't eat cakes, can't do that? It's not particularly enjoyable, is it? Or do I focus on what I will get as a result of being fitter and healthier? Well, if I could lose a few kilos, I would be able to do that. And that pulls me forward. So when the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning and I go, or I go, I want to get up because that allows me to do that thing. So strongly recommend be mindful of what's there. Yeah? But I think you've probably done enough self-flagellation. Yep. It's, may I suggest, time to focus on what could be. It's interesting, you know, if you've ever had this experience. It's like when someone, if you go out and buy a car, you buy a red car, suddenly everyone's got red cars.
Yeah.
What you focus on expands, yeah? So if you can focus on, bless you, having more of this stuff in your life, then it will grow. So I'm going to suggest we think about, perhaps before even looking over here, maybe putting something in place here for you. Now, it's the end of the week. I've got a challenge for you, if I may. By the end of next week, if we say that these three things, fun, healthy, and make more time for yourself, if they are good enough places to start, and that's a leading question, I know, are they good enough places to start?
Yeah, they're good.
Okay. By this time next week, what's feasible? What would you like to achieve that addresses something around fun, healthy, and time for yourself? And here's an even bigger challenge. If you're really clever about it, you could knock all three off with something simple. What would you like to do that might give you some of these things back, even just a tiny little bit?
I think what I'd like to do would be to get into the shed and just maybe not start painting, because maybe not start it, but have it ready to go. And at the moment, everything's squished in a corner. So I don't think it would take very much for me to make some space and then let everyone know that they're not to move anything, so that it's ready.
Good.
And that I think that would just even be nice to think that it was ready.
Great.
Yeah.
So, got a pen?
Yes.
Got some paper?
Yes.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yes.
Right, so let's capture that. Yeah. So get into the shed and make some space. How long do you think that'll take?
Look, it could... hour tops.
Hour tops.
Yeah.
All right. So,
If I don't get involved in clearing out other things, I'll just make that corner. I'm not going to clear out the whole shed.
brilliant.
No.
So, to make, and it sounds like a simple thing,
Yeah.
but to make this happen, what do you need to do?
Um,
So there's other people involved in this, aren't there?
There are. You know what? One of my sons, my son plays sport on the weekend. One of the mothers has said to me, and she's a very, very nice lady, has said to me multiple times, I can pick him up, I can drop him back.
You won't let her. You don't let her, though, do you?
No, because, well, she's got 2 other children, and I might take her up on that.
Might?
I will take her up on
Thank
that.
you. You're gonna
Because
capture
I
that?
because I will need them all out of the house for me to do this.
Good.
Otherwise, they'll be
So when is
Going
this?
through
When
my
is this
stuff.
happening? Is this happening on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Saturday.
I can. She's very good. So even if I sent her a text today, I'm sure she'd get.
So you're going to send a text today and ask her to say thank you for that kind offer. Guess what? I'm going to take you up on that.
Okay.
And maybe, in a couple of weeks you return the favour, and it could
I
become a
have done.
thing.
Yeah,
It could
no, I
become a
have
thing.
done. We've got Nick a number of times.
All right. So if you
Yeah,
can do that
yeah,
more
yeah.
frequently, then suddenly you start to say, well, hang on a second. Every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
got a little bit of time for yourself here. Yeah,
Well, that
That could work.
That could be good.
could work.
Yeah.
You-
Okay.
That could work. You could make that happen
Yeah.
with some gentle prodding.
Yes. Yes.
As long as she's honest enough to tell me to back off. But she's really good. She's no.
Wouldn't imagine she would.
Okay.
Don't come across as being something to be wary of.
Oh, good.
So you've got your hour, at
A
least.
few hours. Yeah.
Do you need to do anything else with it? I mean, do you like listening to music to make it, even?
Oh, well, I can turn this radio on. I like listening
music.
to. What I actually really love listening to is those sort of 702 podcast interviews
Lovely.
and things. So I might, because I'm my son's downloaded a stack of them for me, so I might get a few of those happening.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a small thing.
Yeah.
But it's a start. And I mean, we use the health, fitness, weight loss analogy a lot. It's not about going to the gym 5 times this week and then nothing for months. It's about patterns. It's about, I work with an organisation, they talked about this concept of rhythm. And so what's the rhythm of your week? What's the rhythm of your, daily activities? And so this could become a rhythm for you. It could be something that, it's an hour for you or a couple of hours for you every single Saturday. What else do you need to do? Who else is involved in this? Is your husband
not
as well?
so much. No. He's out.
working,
This
you said,
is just could possibly just be a every second Saturday thing, or because I mean the other thing is, which my husband's been quite vocal about lately, is that my daughter has the capacity to get herself to where she needs to be as well. There's a bus that can take her directly there, but again, I've just been keen to keep. So, again, I don't want to.
It's this, keeping everyone else happy.
That's right.
So you've got to learn to say no.
I do want to be involved in what's going on there because I like to see what she's doing, but again, that doesn't have to be every week.
Okay.
And she's keen to catch that bus because she has a friend that catches it. So it just might be something I'm able to do every week or every couple of weeks.
So is that something you want to commit to,
I think it's a discussion to have.
if I may? So maybe it's once a fortnight she catches the bus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to in the rain because it's a bit of a hike. So, but
How old is she?
oh, she's 15.
She might enjoy it.
Oh, she wants to. She wants to do it. It's just that it's on the way to where I've been driving my son, so it seemed ludicrous for her to catch a bus. But if he's being picked up, then yeah. Anyway,
This is good.
yeah.
So there's some time.
Travel
there.
arrangements.
So
Yeah.
the mountain at one point was vast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not quite so tall now, I don't think. And this is the thing, to go from here to up here is not a giant step.
Yeah.
It's a series of little small steps.
Right.
So there may be 100 steps required.
Right.
Let's talk about steps 2 and 3. We'll worry about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 later.
I have been thinking in the back of my mind too that there's a number of meetings I go to on a weekly basis that I really don't contribute very much to, and these are planning sessions and so on that very rarely have anything to do with my part of the business. And I think if I
You're
were
on a roll
to
here.
lurk into achievement, I might actually garner the courage to ask if I can dismiss myself from some of them.
This is brilliant.
In fact, someone on that panel has actually said, you don't have to come to every one of these, but I've been kind of determined to show up.
Yeah.
But I think I might ask to be excused.
Might.
I will ask to be excused.
Now, I'm being pedantic around language, but language makes a big difference when it comes to achievement. And self-actualising, it's purposeful.
Yeah.
Being really clear about what you want.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, you talked about that friend of yours, and you talked about the different, selfish versus making time for herself. And it's a good distinction. It is a good distinction because, we talked about, you flying the kite or spinning the plates. The point is, at the moment, you've put yourself at the centre of all of that. And I've worked with, unfortunately, a lot of women who've done this, where they keep going like this, and then the wheels fall off.
Oh,
And then suddenly all the plates fall down.
I do.
And so here is an opportunity for you to get some space back for you. And as a result, you'll be able to maybe even do more, or do more things that are more effective for you, things that make a greater difference. So the meetings that you might pull back from, what does that look like?
I don't think that's going to be difficult because
Just a couple of conversations.
it's a conversation because one of the coordinators, as I said, has already said, if you don't have to attend, or we can just send you the minutes, and if there's any issue,
Lovely.
address it. So that would honestly could save me anything up to about 4 hours a week.
So, let's now say
Yeah.
by next week,
Yep.
the end of next, sorry, not next week, the week
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
you've done these three things.
Yeah.
So what are the three things you're going to have done?
Saturday, clearing out the shed
Right.
by ringing my son's friend's mum
Yes.
and getting her to taking her up on that offer.
Yeah.
Going to get my daughter to take the bus, which my husband will be thrilled about and she'll be thrilled about, so I don't know why I haven't been bothering. And I can actually this afternoon have that discussion about the planning meeting.
So all three things have taken
Yeah.
place. How do you feel?
Good.
So we go
Yeah,
forward.
I think it's
all
possible.
done.
I think sometimes in my head when if I look at this, I go, I'm going to have to
scary.
climb Everest, but they're all completely
Little things you
possible.
can do.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you're going to have some time. You're going to rediscover some of the stuff that you had. And so, step one is cleaning the shed. Step two might be setting up the easel or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no,
Step
I can
three
do
might
that.
be doing
Yeah,
all this kind of
yeah.
stuff. And, before you know it, you're back painting again. Wonderful.
Oh, that would be good.
So,
Yeah.
so the key here is momentum, little steps, frequently. So, that's great. Well done. It's wonderful. So a lot we got out of that first one, yeah?
It was really good actually, because I don't know how long it's been since I spoke to anyone about any of this. It's really,
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, are you okay to keep going?
yeah.
Great. Okay, let's finish that now. Just a little thing. There's the achievement high card, and there's the self-actualizing high card. What I'd like you to do is put them somewhere where they're front and center for you. Because
Yeah,
these
that's
two styles here are really going to make a difference. And so when, if you sort of start to wobble a little bit, come back to those two and just go, yep, it's about self-actualizing, being really high in self-actualizing, high in achievement. That might be useful as a suggestion.
Yeah.
The LSI 1 debrief was a really professionally satisfying piece of work. If you look carefully at the progression of how Sarah moves through it, from the very, very beginning, you see that Sarah starts to judge herself even when she colours in the very, very first style. So what I try and do is ask her to suspend judgment and let the whole picture emerge. She continues this process. It's not surprising given the feedback that she has given herself, and continues to be critical. What we do is we start to explore the feedback that is there from two sides of the coin. What does it give you? Because I believe that people do things for a reason. So there must be some positive value for Sarah in these high green styles that she is using. So we do that and reduce any form of defense that might be there. She identifies why she uses these styles and the value they give her. I then come at it from the other side of the spectrum. What do these styles potentially cost you? Having done the first part of what do they give you, Sarah is more open to exploring perhaps the negative aspects of these defensive styles. From here, we get a little bit stuck, and Sarah gets stuck into this self-critical nature again. And then what I do is I ask her some questions around a concept I call being bulletproof. So can you think about a time in your life when you were bulletproof, where you were in a state of flow, where life was going well for you? What I'm trying to do is encourage her to come up to the northern part of the circumplex, to come up there and talk about what satisfaction looks like. So from here, Sarah starts to introduce the concept of her art in the past. This is a wonderful part of the debrief because Sarah's body fundamentally changes during this part. She becomes more animated, she becomes more open, she smiles more, and her language becomes far more positive. From here, in a debriefing perspective, it gets quite easy actually, because you're beginning to tap into that which is important to them, their values, something that is inspiring and motivating. And so from here we move forward and we start to set some goals. Typically in a debrief you would leave goal setting towards the end, but every debrief is different. In this situation I had a strong sense that Sarah was ready to create some action. So we slow the process down and identify some baby steps that will make a real difference. Where we end up at the end of LSI 1 is a really great place. Here is a lady who's walked in, who's under enormous pressure, who's stressed. I have this analogy of a pressure cooker that's about to blow. And she leaves the end of LSI 1 debriefing with a sense that it's possible. I could actually get back into the shed and do some artwork. And that's a wonderful place to finish LSI 1.